It's Reflections on Christian Art, the subject of today's Austin Faith Dialogue, a very special one indeed on this Easter Sunday. Please join us.
Austin Faith Dialogue, at the crossroads of religion and life, a series highlighting the cultural and social interactions between the worshiping and religious communities in and around the capital city. Austin Faith Dialogue is brought to you by the Austin Metropolitan Ministries in cooperation with KXAN. Join us now in Austin Faith Dialogue.
Hello, I'm Richard Thompson of Austin Metropolitan Ministries, welcoming you to this edition of Austin Faith Dialogue. And today, on Easter Sunday, we're pleased to bring to you an anticipated art exhibit that's to be at Concordia University, beginning on April the 4th through May the 10th. And we're going to be looking at works of art that have been submitted by artists from all over the United States, and to listen to some of the music from persons at Concordia University that reflect this spirit of the Easter season. As we prepare for this, I would like to first introduce you to two guests from the art department at Concordia University. Ginger Geyer, we're delighted to have you.
Thank you.
And David Croft, both of you from the art department there and helping to set up this exhibit. And just give us a little bit of a sense of what's going to be involved in that. I know this is part of an annual series, is it not?
This is our second annual Arte Sagrados art show.
That's
have
Spanish for?
Sacred Arts.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
We have 70 artists that have submitted slides to the competition, and these are from all over the United States, like you mentioned. We have 40 works that are in that show, or nearly 40 works in that show. And they are representing various media and also, again, from various states around the country.
Okay. And Ginger, what is it that is the hope and purpose of this? Why is Concordia University providing this service to the public?
Well, we feel strongly that art is a strong visual proclamation of the Word, and it's a good opportunity to show this from a diverse set of artists. It's a wonderful eclectic exhibition, and it's going to help all of us explore, I think, what we feel art is about.
Mm-hmm. And that's one reason that today we are letting the arts carry the spirit of our time together as much as our conversation, because I think that Easter, if at any time during the year, is the time to let music and graphic arts give us that sense. Mm-hmm. And I think that what we'll do first is listen to the music brought to us by two of the folks from Concordia University, Professor Phil Hesterman and a student, Jason, and help me with his last name. Hobroch, who are going to be doing a duet, a recorder and harpsichord, Come Ye Faithful, Raise the Strain, setting by Richard Bursey, and O Day Full of Grace, setting by Richard Bursey. Let us listen to that now. We're back now with our guests from Concordia University, Ginger Geyer and David Croft, after hearing this music with the theme of Easter very much in our minds today. Let's begin to take a look at the work of some of these artists that you have, whose works you've selected to show at your Christian art show, and here's the first one.
This is a piece by Linda Genet. She's an Austin artist, and the work is multi-layered, both in images and also in the methods and techniques that she uses to put these images together. There's photographic resources that she's using, and it's basically a technique that's based on the intaglio printing technique, but it's with variations.
Here's our second one.
This is a piece by a woman who is from Fullerton, California. It's a graphite drawing. I think it's probably the most traditional piece in the show. It is probably what most people would think of when they think of a Christian art show. There's a lot of emotion in that face. This is also another Austin artist, Carol Heyman. She took these photographs, both of the photographs that are in the show, in Peru. She has been involved with the Peace Corps and is currently teaching at ACC.
Okay. And this one is still another
Yeah, that's a detail of that same
detail
shot.
of that, okay.
There's a little angel in the background.
Mm-hmm.
This is a print by a woman from Austin, also called Sanctuary. At first we thought this was like an apse, but if you look closely, it's a bathtub. The sanctuary in the bathroom, which is kind of a wonderful, tranquil idea for a sanctuary. Here she's kind of soaking with wonderful lily pads and different herbs and things, perhaps. And it's all about tranquility and calm. The cross is by a man from Dayton, Minnesota. It's a wood and metal piece, about, maybe 2 feet tall. The colors in it are very rich, that have come from found pieces of metal and old pieces of wood. And James Young likes to really work with found materials and bring back beauty to things which appear to be rather lost. That's a detail from the very top of it.
This is a work by Dee Wolf from Houston. She has shown extensively around the country. She works in gouache, which is a type of watercolor that's not transparent, sort of a grainy kind of watercolor. Really a rich surface, a lot of jewel-like qualities to her work.
Hee Joo-Yoo's painting is about 4 by 6 feet. It's a very vibrant oil on canvas that has a strong sense of light and dark. As you see, this is the detail of the bottom portion of the painting, kind of a womb-like enclosure, and from it springs upward this shaft of light. He just says that she always uses a theme of hope in her work.
I was going to ask you, with both that one and the others that we've seen, how that reflects the meaning of Easter, or why it would be in a Christian art exhibit. Could you give us a little bit of feedback on that perspective?
I think what one of the goals of this show is to spur that very discussion of what is art from a Christian perspective. Some people might use the term, what is Christian art? This show tries to encourage discussion right along those lines, and I think that various people are going to come up with various answers, and these artists and the juror chose them are coming up with some answers for us, and we need to investigate whether they agree with those answers, or if we think something else would be more along the line of sacred arts.
Did you have any other thoughts on that, Ginger?
Well, personally, I don't like to use the term Christian art because I think people are Christian and art is neutral.
Okay.
But you can separate subject matter in art as being something that emanates Christian ideas or theologies, or perhaps it's, you can define it as if, what is the artist's belief system? Picasso's Guernica, for instance, we know he was atheist, but that is one of the strongest pieces of a Christian proclamation that I can think of, in that it really shows the horror of reality.
Right, of man's inhumanity to man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think that one of the things that occurs to me as I look at this is that Easter represents new life. It represents a life that comes out of death. I think maybe in that last one, emanations, I had something of the feeling of that, even though it was something on the more abstract side. And you mentioned a womb-like figure there. That
Yeah, I may be reading that into it, but
yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
that's the kind of thing we do. We read our
Sure.
meanings, and on this particular day, that kind of meaning. I think we also have a little bit of information for folks that want to take note now of how they can get more information about this before we take our break. And there it gives Concordia University and this number that people can call to derive that from either of you or others that are connected to the exhibit.
Yes, well, that's actually my office phone number, and I'd be glad to give information to people who'd like to call there and find out the hours of the show and any other information they need.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a break now and hope that you folks stay with us, as we will be returning in just a moment for our next half of Austin Faith Dialogue. Welcome back to Austin Faith Dialogue, where today our focus is upon Easter and the arts as we anticipate a Christian art exhibit at Concordia University beginning April the 4th and extending through May the 10th. And we have been joined by two of the members of the art faculty there, Ginger Geyer and David Croft. Right at the break, we were about to get into a little bit of who makes judgment on these pictures that we've seen and are going to see some more of this half as to what's included in the exhibit. Who is your judge?
The way that we did the show, it's called a call for entry show, and we send out brochures outlining the theme and various other aspects of how the show would be run, and then I asked the artists to submit slides. The slides are then sifted through by a juror, and we had a juror from Washington, D.C., Deborah Sokolov.
And who is she, and why is she a juror?
Deborah is the gallery director at the Dadian Gallery, which is at Wesley Theological Seminary. Wesley has a large program in arts and religion and has an artist in residency program. And Deborah runs the whole gallery scene there.
And will she be here during the time that the exhibit is on
Yeah,
display?
she'll speak to us at the opening reception. She's going to do a gallery talk among the paintings and prints and
Good.
sculptures. And
Will
everything.
that be on the opening day, the April the 4th day?
No, it's
actually-
11th.
On the 11th?
Yeah.
Yeah, the reception is actually on the 11th,
Okay.
and she'll be talking about 7 o'clock that evening.
All right, good. And Concordia, by the way, is on IH-35 at, what's the address
Well,
there?
between 32nd and 38th and a half, 3400 North IH-35.
Okay, well, that gives us, and this is Peters Center that the art is to be located in. That's also where we were able to catch one other bit of music for this Easter Sunday and want to share with you folks, and that is by Jason Hobrosh once again on harpsichord, playing Bach's Minuet in G. Let's enjoy that now for a few moments. Well, as we hear that work of Bach, we are brought back to our
Mozart.
reflections upon how art gives expression to the spirit, and we're looking forward now to seeing 7 other of the pieces that you've got. You say there were 40 altogether in the exhibit, and let's begin to take a look at these.
This is the work by an artist who is a member and also president of a nationwide Christian art group called SIVA, Christians in the Visual Arts. She works in mainly a print medium, but she does a lot of multimedia kind of things with the print media, adding graphite and so many other things. This woman is from Massachusetts. Gideon's Offering refers to the story in Judges of Gideon sort of wondering if it's really God speaking to him or if it might be somebody else, and he offers a sacrifice and the angel convinces him that it is God who is speaking to him. This recreates that scene where he comes to the realization of who's talking with him.
Okay, this is the next one about Mary.
Yeah, Rosemary Luckett is from Virginia, And with this piece, she shows Mary taking Jesus out of the temple. It's collage and wood. She has a small poem here with it that ends with, field, stream, and dinner table will be the parable places for saying what they both know to be true. Watermelon Saint is a fun piece by a local artist, Sharon Smith. In this raku pot, which is sort of green, she's put several little pieces, found objects, such as these two figures. The little guy is Adam, and he's pointing down because he chooses good over evil. Little watermelons are stuck around the edge of it. She calls this a fruity slice of life.
That's interesting, a radio.
Now, this is a piece by John Sager. He's also an Austin artist and has done a lot of work with assemblage here lately. There's a little light that's in this piece that doesn't show up in the video, but from the back side, the light is refracted in such a way that the one light becomes three lights. And to me, in that point, has sort of a Trinitarian aspect to it. You can see some of the found objects that he incorporates into his work.
Debbie Ann Moore is from Virginia, and this is an altarpiece that opens. She's drawing from both art history from the medieval times, where altarpieces were opened and closed at intervals. Here it's open. You see the wings are out on it. And also drawing from the biblical sources. This is called Letter to the Church in Philadelphia, which is, of course, one of the 7 churches mentioned in Revelation. This basket, this is a very small piece. It's only about 5 inches tall. It's a tiny basket that's woven and overlaid with very thin paper and then a gauze-like netting. There's a stick and a little stone for a handle on this. It draws illusions of being veiled and layered, and how God goes through all those layers that we put up.
Oh, I see. Okay, so there's a symbolism that is expressed, and it's a three-dimensional object.
Yeah, small little hand-sized basket.
Yeah. I was impressed as you were interpreting these that this art comes, you mentioned someone from California, Minnesota, Massachusetts, different parts of the country. And I think that, among other things, that shows that your reputation to display works of art here in Austin has spread. How does the word get around on that?
We started out with a mailing list that we got from SIVA, and last year I think the show was successful enough that word has spread by word of mouth. We had the president of SIVA down at the opening last year, and she was quite impressed with it, and I think she's spread that news around to people she knows. And I think that's probably the reason why we got quite a few entries this year, again.
What's your feeling about the entries this year as compared to last? Do you see any change in the kinds of things you've been receiving, or what just as a qualitative sort of thing, but what's your feel about
Well, I think the interesting thing about that is that last year, of course, we had a different juror, and we had some of the same artists submit work, and of course 2 different people who are acting as juror will pick a whole different combination of works. And I find it very interesting to look at the 2 shows and compare them that way, and sort of ask myself, putting myself in the head of the juror, why did you pick that one? How did that all go? It's also interesting that as we look through the slides, when we first got them, we picked some that we thought we would like to see in a show or would be interested to see in person. And in many cases, some of the same ones we picked are works that Deborah picked also.
One of the things too, as you go to an art gallery and you see works of art and you leave and you think later, well, now which one of those really stayed with me? The one I was thinking about the second half was that one with the radio. I think you made a commentary, David, but explain the radio to me, Ginger. I mean, what is there about this being in a Christian art show that you've got the front and back side of an old-time radio?
Gee, I wish the artist were here to say that. John calls this piece an idea of God. And he gives us a little hint into it with that title, I think. Often the words an artist applies to something else. I don't know, maybe it has something to do with looking at the face of God or at his hindquarters turned like that. What do you think?
I was just fascinated with the whole idea of the light and how it divides into three. You see the one light
Yes,
in
you
the front.
mentioned the Trinity.
And the
Yeah.
Trinity kind of implications in the back.
Right.
Well, and also, the piece seems obvious. I mean, it's a radio. You know
Right.
what that is. But when you turn it around, it's very complex and mysterious on the
All right.
inside.
Well, we've got a mystery in Easter, and you have helped us
That's good.
explore that visually today. I'd like to just have brought up one more time information about where the show is and when it's going to be. And I think that you mentioned, David, that people could call that number and find out even such logistics as parking if they need to. And
Yes, that would be fine.
please take our greetings back to the folks at Concordia.
Thank you.
them for sharing this day with us, and we want to thank you too particularly, Ginger and David. Thank you folks for looking. Be with us next week on Austin Faith Dialogue.